Hello and welcome to Let's Be Frank. I came up with this idea while at work. I work at a Walmart, which of course isn't a very desirable job, but it gives me a lot of time to kind of just sit there and get into the motion and think about various things. So I decided to come up with the name for the show while at work, and I also came up with the character Frank, who originally was going to be, you know, like a New York taxi driver with an accent, and I would wear this hat and act like this different character than my normal self. But I can't really do a New York accent, so I decided I'll just wear the hat and call it Let's Be Frank and go with it. So today, we're going to talk about Titanfall on the Xbox 360, and also specifically Titanfall and how it hasn't probably sold very well on the Xbox One. So Titanfall came out March 11th, 2014 for the Xbox One and the PC, and despite it being a Microsoft exclusive, it really technically wasn't. Or at least it wasn't exclusive to the Xbox One, which is what it was pushed as for its entire marketing campaign. When it was announced for Xbox One, PC, and Xbox 360. And that really made me curious because they were putting it out on the last-gen console, and I didn't think that the graphics or the overall gameplay of itself would be too different, which meant that the Xbox 360 version would probably sell a lot better than the Xbox One version. And also, it kind of made me a little bit annoyed whenever I would see the Titanfall ads and it would all be Xbox One. And I would be like, it's not only for Xbox One. You're trying to trick the consumers who are dumb and don't read the internet into thinking that it's an Xbox One exclusive, so therefore I have to buy an Xbox One if I want to buy this. Instead, they could actually just purchase it on the Xbox 360, a console which 80 million people already own. So basically, I thought that was a little bit of trickery going on there. Of course, they're a business, they want money, they want to push their new console out, especially because it hasn't been doing too well. The latest numbers for the Xbox One consoles sold has been about 3.9 million, I believe, whereas the PlayStation 4 has surpassed 6 million now worldwide. Of course, the Xbox One will be coming out into some more territories this September, but it's already come out in its main territory, North America, where it sold a majority of its consoles in the past generation. So if it's not doing too well right now, I really don't think putting it out in a bunch of other territories is really going to give it a significant boost. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Xbox One sales. We're here to talk about Titanfall sales. So on the 25th of March, Amazon basically had put out a Titanfall bundle for only $450 compared to the regular $500. Now, Target, Walmart, and a bunch of other retailers started following this and putting out Titanfall bundles for $450 as well. And then a few weeks later, on April 6th, Target also added 12 months of Xbox Live into the bundle. So now you are getting a console that was originally $500 for $150. You're also getting a free $60 game and free 12 months of Xbox Live as well. So that's an awesome deal if you haven't already bought an Xbox One. However, on April 10th, Sony came out and said that infamous Second Son has sold over 1 million copies in only 9 days. Meanwhile, EA hasn't said anything about how much Titanfall has sold, even though it's been out for almost a month now. They haven't put out any sales numbers on the Xbox One or the PC version, and also the Xbox 360 version came out this past Tuesday, April 8th, and I purchased that version, obviously because I wanted to save some money and only buy a $60 game as compared to a $450 bundle. And they haven't come out, EA hasn't said anything about how well its sales has been. Obviously, they would have come out if it had been a success. So the lack of them saying anything kind of makes me think it didn't sell as well as they wanted it to. And it probably hasn't even sold, maybe it probably has sold over 1 million copies, but for some reason, they don't consider that a success. And they don't want to come out and say that it's sold over 1 million copies in 14 days. Because then people would look at that and say that's not a success. Compared to the infamous Second Son, which truly is an exclusive because it's only available on the PlayStation 4, which sold 1 million copies in 9 days, it probably wouldn't look that good for EA or Titanfall. This also probably doesn't bode well for Microsoft because, of course, they really pushed this as an Xbox One exclusive, and because it hasn't sold very well on Xbox One, only speculation that has come out that has been that it sold about 700,000 units on the Xbox One, which of course is 1 million units, which of course doesn't make good headlines. So that's probably why they haven't said anything about it. Now the Xbox 360 version actually runs a lot better than I thought it would. Of course, it was delayed a few weeks, probably mostly because Microsoft wanted to continue pushing the Xbox One version onto people, instead of all of a sudden these people now seeing that there's an Xbox 360 version, a console which they already own, that they can purchase instead. And it actually is very comparable. Now, of course, the graphics are a little bit muddy. There's some low-resolution textures, and I've noticed it myself while playing it, but I've only noticed it when I actually stop running around and sprinting around shooting people and actually look at the buildings and the various textures that are around me that I notice it looks not that great. But really, that doesn't matter when you're playing an online multiplayer shooter. It matters as much as trying to hash in a single-player story while you're playing online matches, which is something else Titanfall tries to do, but does it terribly. So also, speaking of Sony and Infamous Second Son, it sold very well. It's the fastest-selling Infamous game, which is great for Sucker Punch. Congratulations to them on their success. But I had some problems with Infamous Second Son. I didn't find it to be that great or that awesome. In my review, I just said it was good. It's a good game. But I had a lot of issues with it, and it comes across as a game for newcomers, which is understandable, actually, seeing as Killzone Shadowfall wasn't called Killzone 4. They dropped the number in the title basically because they were selling this to probably people who hadn't really played the Killzone games on the PlayStation 3. And maybe people who didn't even have a PlayStation 3, which is bizarre for me to think of. But also, Infamous, of course, it's called Second Son. They dropped the number from the title. They want to give this to people who hadn't played the previous Infamous games. Now, this also makes me think that Uncharted, which of course has recently had some rocky waters because of the people who had been leaving, especially Amy Hennig, who was a creative director of all 3 Uncharted games almost, she left. And it was kind of like a little bit of a scandal that was going on when she left, too. There was some misinformation and some reports that she was forced out. Things like that kind of went on. But anyway, it kind of makes me think that because Killzone and Infamous dropped the numbers from the titles and added subtitles instead, that Uncharted probably isn't going to be called Uncharted 4. And it's probably actually going to be called Uncharted Drake's Resignation. It'll probably be called that, since, of course, Drake also will probably be left out and leave Naughty Dog for whatever reason. That's a joke, not serious. But anyway, also, Sony, Naughty Dog came out and talked about The Last of Us on PlayStation 4. They released a trailer recently. It was kind of a little bit of a weird trailer because it kind of spoiled a certain scene near the end of The Last of Us. A very poignant, very good scene that kind of, encompasses why The Last of Us is so good, and they kind of spoiled that in the trailer, which was kind of a confusing thing for me. Why would you spoil this scene that was, such a close to home scene for all of us who played The Last of Us? A lot of us loved that scene because it was so unexpected and because none of us saw it coming. And so now for them to show that in this trailer that they're showing to people who own PlayStation 4s who probably haven't played The Last of Us and want to buy it on the PlayStation 4 is kind of a weird thing. Another last weird thing is that at the end of that trailer also, they listed a feature of the PlayStation 4 version that, differentiates it from the PlayStation 3 version. And they listed it as 1080p. And that was it. And that was the only thing that they put in there that differentiates it from the PlayStation 3 version, is that it's now in higher resolution. You can now see Joel kill people in 1080p instead of 720p. Does that really matter? Is that really such a big deal that you need to put it in your trailer that now you can watch this happen and play this in 1080p, a higher resolution than the regular version? I don't think that matters that much. I don't think it's such a big deal that you need to put that in your trailer, and it's actually kind of puzzling that you put that in your trailer instead of saying that it also includes the amazing DLC, The Left Behind, which was just a great story, a continuation of Ellie's story, actually, in The Last of Us. So that was kind of a weird thing. But that's the show for today. I just wanted to get in and talk about these various things that have been on my mind. I also kind of wanted to talk about Oculus and Facebook and how that kind of puzzles me, because I really don't think that Facebook is going to be able to make a profit off of the Oculus Rift. And I also think that despite what they're saying, they really are going to try and turn it into more of a product to sell to casual people. And it seems as if these people are still trying to chase the whole Wii conundrum, which was that the Wii came out and was this gigantic, monumental success for Nintendo and sold to like millions and millions of people. But really, that was an anomaly. Nintendo started out really strongly with the NES, and then the SNES came out, and they sold really well, but less than the NES. Then, of course, you had the N64, which is less. Then you had the GameCube, which is less. Then you had the Wii, which was like this gigantic, phenomenal success. But that was just an anomaly. And now with the Wii U, Nintendo is kind of back on track with just going downwards with their hardware sales. Of course, doesn't mean that their software isn't great. It doesn't mean that their hardware is going to go anywhere or that the Wii U sucks. It's just that they're not selling that well. Again, it's like the Xbox One. It doesn't mean that it's a bad console. It just means that it's not selling well, which sucks for them, but it doesn't really matter because we're still getting great games for it, such as Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So anyway, that's the show for today. If you like this video, you can like it and find a bunch of other videos that I've been doing on the same channel that you're watching it on right now. So thank you for watching, and take care.
And he tries. Oh my God, do I try? I try all the time in this institution.
Shut up. Shut up. Bear. Shush. Anyway. Hey. No. Stop it. No. Bear. No. No.